Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled Neighbor Story Number 1. We rented a house that had another apartment in the basement. The lady who lived below us kept to herself for the most part, so we didn't see her much. Part of our rental was a detached garage, and she asked if she could put a small deep freezer in our garage. We were using it for storage, so we were fine with it. After a couple of weeks of having her freezer in there, it somehow got unplugged and she came unglued on us and wanted us to pay to replace everything. I understood her frustration, but we hardly ever went into the garage since it was only used for storage. In other words, we definitely didn't unplug it and our landlord agreed, but she was pissed. She had a son in college who came home for the summer. During that summer he found a cat and brought it home. His mom said no cats in sight, so he would feed the kitten outside. She was pretty wild. He left for school again in the fall and we noticed that the cat was getting very thin. We started feeding her outside in her usual spot, and around Christmas we bought a bag of cat food and I made a plate of cookies and left them both at our neighbor's front door. The next day they were both back on our porch. Rude, whatever. We continued to feed the cat because she obviously was not feeding her. A few weeks later the cat came to our door crying. She was trying to come inside. Super weird considering she was pretty wild and we had never let her inside before. I let her in and noticed she was pregnant and for sure about to have babies. I made her a little corner and she had babies the next day. We let her stay in the house with us, but we knew we couldn't keep her. I went downstairs to talk to our neighbor. She said that her son's cat was a boy, so the cat we had obviously was not his. I posted on Facebook to see if anyone was interested in fostering a cat and her kittens because we couldn't keep her. Her son saw my post on Facebook and got super mad at his mom. She then called the cops and said that I stole her cat and lied to her when she confronted me about having the cat in my possession. It was the stupidest, most frustrating thing that had ever happened to me as far as neighbors go. Update, didn't mean to leave you wanting more, honestly, didn't think people would care so much about the story. The police called animal control, who then contacted us. They asked us to take the cat and her kittens to the shelter, so that if our neighbor really wanted the cats, she would have to pay the fee as well as get her vaccinated and licensed. We did take them to the shelter and as far as I know, she did pay the fees to pick her up. However, I did see her on the animal shelter's Facebook adoption page not long after that. Poor baby. For the record, I was heartbroken to have to take her to the shelter. I felt awful for moving her and her babies around like that. I am sure that she was so anxious and scared. We would have tried to keep her, but we were moving to a new place that same week, hence the urgency to find her a foster home, and we were not allowed to have pets. All authorities involved thought that she was nuts, and I think they were also frustrated to have to deal with this stupid situation. And you know guys, I always feel very bad for pets that have absolutely irresponsible owners. Some people you can just tell that they definitely should not own any animals because they don't care about the well-being of their pet whatsoever. I'm always wondering why these people have cats or dogs or whatever other pets in the first place. And the next one is titled Neighbor Story 2. My neighbor from hell lived in the apartment right below my husband and I. It went from constant complaints to him calling the cops on us multiple times to him leaving threatening messages on our car and front door. When we first moved in, he was upset with the landlord for renting above him, left plenty of unpleasant notes and interrupted quite a few times when we were talking to the landlord. When we moved in, we only had a mattress and no other furniture, but he kept calling the landlord saying that we were moving furniture around at 2 AM and had our TV at full blast. After the 8th complaint, in 2 months of us still moving around furniture and TV being too loud, we finally showed our apartment to the landlord. We literally didn't have a TV and still only had our mattress. Then the neighbor started leaving notes on our car telling us to keep it down, and he even put in writing,
There needs to be no noise after 10 PM or else I will call the cops.
We usually did not even get home until after 11 PM, and we were respectful to make sure we kept things down because we knew that not everyone had our work schedule. So we tried keeping it down even more, and there were so many instances when we would be eating dinner or cuddling quietly or even sleeping, and he would be banging on his ceiling and our floor. After a few months he started calling the cops, and it got to the point where even the cops told him to stop calling about a noise complaint because it is a landlord issue, and every time they came they never heard anything. The last time they showed up I was asleep, and my husband ended up talking to them and explaining everything. They suggested that we file a harassment complaint. Then the cops showed up at the coffee shop I worked at the time and explained that they were getting almost nightly calls, and they suggested to me too that we should file a harassment complaint against a neighbor. Then he started leaving threatening notes on our car and front door, and we kept hearing our doorknob jiggle. He claimed that he and a friend had sat outside our apartment for 2 hours and listened to all the noise we were making. He is a retired cop and will call in a few favors if we continue making noise. He knows where we park our car, so we better start parking it somewhere else if we didn't want it to get damaged, etc. We kept the notes and made copies for the landlord and let him know that this was what we were dealing with, so we are just keeping him in the loop before trouble starts getting real, aka we are tired of this, and if an old guy gets his crap rocked, then just know that it has been a long time coming. The last complaint was when he ran outside to the landlord screaming that something needed to be done about us because he heard our bed squeak in the night before, and how dare he rent to some crazy college kids who are partying and having intercourse all night. The landlord finally told him to F off and stop being a bitter old man. Then the neighbor took a total 180 and we found out that he had decided to sue the landlord and was moving. Suddenly the neighbor kept offering us rides when one of us were walking. He stopped complaining and leaving notes, but our doorknob kept jiggling and turning at around midnight, and whenever we would check on our door, we would hear someone running down the hall as we would approach our door. We eventually moved away, and shockingly we haven't gotten a complaint from any other neighbor in the last 3 years we have lived here. And guys, I gotta say, if I would have been in that situation, I would probably have moved away ASAP. I guess there's not that much you can do other than file a harassment complaint against a creepy neighbor like this. However, if someone was listening for hours to me sitting right beside my door, I would be completely freaked out. I would not be able to handle that, honestly. What would you have done in that situation? Please let us know in the comments. And the next one is titled, "Neighbor trespassed repeatedly and had the audacity to park her car on my property despite multiple warnings from my side." I followed an ancient Subaru onto my tiny, less than 1000 feet long and only about 12 feet wide in some places, private road. Not public, for all of you that missed the word private, I made it bold for you. There is no such thing as public parking on a private road. The car then pulled into my driveway. As I waited thinking this person was just lost and turning around, which happens quite a bit, a woman got out of her car and started to walk past me. Albeit a strange driveway and parking area, as it is across the street from me, it is still my property. It is not just in front of my house where I have some misguided claim at some type of possession due to its relative location from that house. It was presented that way by the realtor 26 years ago, shows up on city records, is on the surveys done back then and recently, and it is on the deeds. Every single portion of the pavement that makes up this private way was put on top of someone's deeded property. I also spent over $10,000 having it professionally built up, leveled and then paved. It is mine and it is for my vehicles, including my work vehicle when I had one, my tenants and our guests. I didn't do all of this to be denied access by anyone. Here is the picture I sent the tow truck company with the word Subaru. And guys, here you can see the picture that OP was talking about. And on the left side you can see the completely empty parking spot at her friend's house, and on the right the clean paved parking spots that OP owns and that are clearly in use by him. Never wanting to assume arrogance, I treat everyone with the respect I would want them to treat me with. I put down the window and politely said, "Excuse me, but that is my spot. Could you move your car?" To which I received a middle finger and told to
Do something about it.
Funnily enough, it later turned out that this woman was not a random druggie, but she was living not too far away from me, making it even worse since she was essentially my neighbor. I said, "That is at least $100. It was $125 once the car hit the impound yard. She proceeded to go to her friend's car and drive away. Instead of my now former neighbor, whose knowledge of the property lines has been clearly established by her arrogance in the past telling her friend to move, they disappeared down the road. I then drove up to take the last available spot on my property, leaving nothing for one of my tenants despite there being 5 empty spots at her friend's house. She drove onto a private street passing a private way sign, multiple no trespassing, no parking, parking for residents only, and other variants of those signs to her druggy friend's dirty apartment in a rundown house, saw her friend parked in the dirt parking area, passed the empty spot before her friend and passed her friend's car, passed 2 or 3 more empty spots next to her friend, passed 2 more cars and parked in the clean paved area in front of the clean, well-maintained house next door. She then was asked politely to move and chose to be a douchebag instead. About half an hour later, the car was towed and impounded. About 6 hours after that, she is banging at my door, got told to leave, refused, and was eventually removed forcibly by the police. She was also told to never return. She did return and was promptly arrested. What she did not do, however, was ever even attempt to contact the impound yard to get her uncle's car back. About 50 days later, I remember the fees were just under $2,000, in lieu of payment, her uncle handed over the Subaru keys and signed the title over to the impound yard. Which is, by the way, my friend's impound yard. It takes about 6 weeks for a new title to come in, and the impound yard was getting overcrowded. Since I had just sold my black Impala and now had an empty spot, I offered to store the car at my house until the title came in. He did drop it off around a week later, but the title came in quicker than usual. I never got the opportunity to see her face, but I would imagine it was priceless. By the way, since I see so many people who think I am such a jerk, I assure you, I am only one when warranted. Whenever I've actually had to ask a new visitor to move, it's because we were running out of space and I was outside when they were still here, and I was never disrespectful. In 26 years, we have asked around 100 people to move and only ever had 2 cars towed. The other one was here for about a week and no one claimed it. I know of plenty of other properties that ask twice that many people to move per yard and have dozens of cars towed. If you can actually tell me you would just leave someone like that alone after they passed the signs, got politely asked to move, and then flipped you off and yelled at you to do something about it, then kudos to you. I asked politely, she could have responded politely. And yeah guys, I'm not sure where that criticism came from, because in my opinion OP was definitely in the right here, 100%. Would you disagree with that? Please let us know in the comments. And while you're at it, please also don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled, Moved into a new apartment, neighbor thinks I am her new nanny. I have no idea where else to put this. The issue is a mix of off my chest, child-free and homeowners, I guess. I figured this sub would probably find it the most interesting though. Intro, so about 3 months ago, I moved cross-country for work. I am single, I am child-free, and I like it that way. I am not much of a people person. I enjoy my alone time and I love peace and quiet. I love coming home to an empty house at the end of the day, knowing everything is still placed where I left it and everything is still tidy. I grew up with very young siblings and nothing irritated me more than coming home from school to a disaster of a house and being told to help clean it. I understand most kids have to help with chores and all, but my siblings were so much younger than me and I was given so much responsibility over them, I feel I've already experienced parenthood. Anyway, the first job didn't work out, so I went back on the hunt. While I was looking, I popped into a specialty food store near my apartment to see if they needed help. I found out that the store owner was actually a neighbor. Unfortunately, the store was fully staffed, but she mentioned that the new coffee opening shop down the street was looking for employees. She also mentioned that she was looking for a babysitter in the meantime. I told her I am really not the babysitting type, I am terrible with children. She kept insisting, saying that her kid is super well behaved and is no trouble at all. She just would feel better to have someone at home with him while she was at work. I reluctantly agreed. I know, I should have just kept saying no, but I really was not in a position to disagree. I really needed some kind of income until I could land a new job. But I specifically told her that it would only be temporary until I could find full-time work. I just want to add that the kid actually did turn out to be super chill and well behaved. I am here to complain more about the crazy mom. Fortunately, I was able to land a job with that coffee shop, and with that I was done babysitting, or so I thought. Since the cafe is still a new business, they are not fully staffed yet. We have all been working doubles to compensate for the lack of staff. I am okay with it since they are paying us well and the work is fun. It is just a little tiring with the long hours, but what is most tiring is that the mom keeps asking for my schedule so she can know when I can watch her kid next. Excuse me? The deal was once I got a job, I am done watching your kid. And to top it off, with working 60+ hours a week, any free time I am getting is going to me, not your rugrat. Sorry. I have made it very obvious to her that I am working long hours and I don't plan on watching her kid anymore. This should not be news, we had already agreed to this, and now she keeps sending me annoying / guilt-tripping text messages.
Our little Bobby misses his special babysitter. He wants to know when he can see you again.
Like, ma'am, I am flattered, but I have no emotional involvement with you or your kid. Don't refer to him as our. I keep telling her I don't have any days off in the foreseeable future. Seriously, I get a full day off maybe once every 2 weeks, and at that point the day is used to do laundry and get groceries. I cannot afford to watch your child play Minecraft for 8 hours. And then, just to be sure I am not lying to her about my schedule, either that or she's just really clingy, she keeps dropping into the coffee shop daily just to say hi. She never buys anything, she just comes in, sees me, and if I'm in the back, someone has to come and get me because she wants to make sure I am actually there. At first it was like, that's thoughtful, but now it is unnerving. She says she's just checking in to make sure I am doing okay, but it is honestly getting creepy. She says because I live alone, she feels like she needs to check on me and that everyone needs a friend in the neighborhood, but I am tired of her using her child as a lever for her to basically stalk me. It boils down to 2 things. If she's just truly acting on motherly instincts to look out for me, she needs to cut it out. 1. I'm a grown-ass adult and I don't need a stranger mothering me. It is creepy. 2. I have a mom. Please stop trying to butt into my affairs. I already have one person doing that. I don't need another. I honestly wish I knew if her intentions are good or not, because then I could tell her to F off without feeling bad about it. It's just gotten really annoying and creepy. It's gotten to the point where she is no longer asking if I am free, but demanding to know when the next time I can watch her kids is. I genuinely don't know, and it is getting scary. Despite the kid not being that bad, I just really want this momzilla to leave me alone. And Ripe Stars, sadly, we have reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest you to check out my binge watch playlist, which you will see at the corner of the screen. If you click on that playlist, you will find hours of ripe content, and also by watching this playlist you will support my channel. This is due to the fact that YouTube likes when users stay on one person's channel and watch several videos in a row. In addition, you can also check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more exclusive Reddit videos. Prices start at $3 a month, but please don't feel pressured into giving me money or anything. It is already enough for you to watch my videos daily. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.